Welcome to the workshop. Today we're going to be upcycling a sign that I found in my shed when I cleaned it out this weekend. I would not typically have this in my house. It's just not my aesthetic. I think it'll be cute painted up. I can paint anything I want on it. Wait till you see. Wait till you see what I'm going to paint on it. So the first thing we're going to do is clean it off. Anything that is not real wood that's going to fall apart when it gets wet, I need you to clean it with glass cleaner, okay? It evaporates so much quicker and it's not going to mess up your sign. Now that we have our sign all cleaned off, I'm going to go through and file down any rough edges that I see. I'm just going to use a nail file because here's the deal. One, I don't have any sandpaper, and two, sometimes you got to be resourceful. Painting this guy should be fairly easy. All you need is the white paint and a large paintbrush. You want something that gives a lot of coverage because we're going to be covering a lot of ground. Now that we have a nice whiteboard to work with, we need to finalize our color situation. I picked grape taffy for the main part of the board. That's going to be our background. This one is a purple violet. This is going to go around all of the edges to give a nice little design. This one is purple iris, and it's going to be used for most of the writing on the board. I have selected a bright pink for something special that's going to go down here. It's going to be this half of the board. And I will also be making use of our handy dandy purple glitter on that part. Next up on the list is to use our grape taffy and give ourselves a really awesome background color. I really liked the border that the sign had originally, so I want to try and recreate that. I picked my purple. I have this cool little thing I'll explain in a second, and a paintbrush that is roughly a ½ inch. This little guy is really cool. He is a mini of this larger measuring table, and this is also a cutting table, so I can use like an X-Acto knife when I'm cutting out little bits. The reason I'm going to use this is because it will hold my paint properly without drying it out. If you try to put your paint on something that is porous, it will absorb straight into it like a piece of cardboard. So instead, I can put my little bits of paint on this and they'll stay wet a little bit longer. Get a good amount of paint on. Since the brush is approximately the width we already want this, we're just going to keep the edge of the brush to the edge of the board. And you will have to go over this several times to get a nice bright color. I want to stop and say this because, again, my channel is about my chronic illness, my stiff person syndrome. Without the medications that I'm currently on right now, my daily meds, and without this new therapy, I would never have been able to paint this in any resemblance of even. My hand is so steady right now, and I was at one point a few months ago tremoring so bad I almost slung salad at a coworker in the lunchroom. So I didn't mean to make that sad. This is such a happy thing for me to be able to give this such a smooth finish. So right on. Now that we have the first coat of our border applied, we have to let this dry. Up to an hour maybe. It just depends on the paint itself. Make sure it is completely dry before you put another coat on. Otherwise, you're just going to smear it all over the place. That was absolutely freaking amazing. We had the exact amount of paint. Okay, and this is what I'm talking about when I say that pieces of cardboard, anything porous, are going to absorb that paint. I want you to look at this. I was able to scrape every single tiny bit of that. Look at that, of that paint off of this. I love this little guy. Oh, now we let it dry. While we're waiting on our border to dry, we can fool around with the stencils. Now, what I think I'm going to do is take my X-Acto knife and cut out each of these and use it as a stencil for the board, and then I can always go back with a mini paintbrush and fix any edges that might be out of whack. The first thing you do when you start any project with an X-Acto knife is you want a fresh blade. The way we would normally do that is pop off a segment of the razor blade, okay? Because you can use this to pull the razor up and down. I'll show you how to split it. You take this back part and it actually pulls off. It's going to give you that tiny, I don't even know if you can see it, a tiny little slit right here, just big enough for like a fingernail to go through. You're going to push your razor blade up, take that little slit, slide the end of the razor blade in, and pop it like that. Now you have a tiny piece of razor, which we are going to immediately put into our razor jar, and you have a fresh blade. However, this blade is rusty. This time, we're going to pull that out, that whole rusty blade back in there. We're going to open up. There we go. So now we're going to take the piece that has the little nub on it, and we're going to fit this in. Slide the entire blade back in, holding that in place, and push that bottom piece back down. Now you have fresh blades and you can start your project. So the tiny little pieces that go in between the cursive letters, we're going to have to cut out and actually place back in. That was stressful. It's moments like these. A Cricut would be so cool right now, just to let you know. Anybody want to buy me a Cricut? Come on. Well, that only took forever and a half. But we do have our Live, Laugh stencil done. So I am just going to go back by hand and try as hard as I can to get it as even as I can. We have the whole border done and dry. I laid out my two designs. So I got them where I wanted them and just marked them lightly with pencil so I can pick this up later and we can figure that one out. We have already cut out our live laugh, and I did struggle putting the pieces that went in between the letters, getting them back in the right order. So I'm very glad that I had the second one here to look at. Always have one for reference. I'm going to use a beauty buffer to put down the stencil. The parts of the E's came off. Oh no. But luckily, they left an imprint, so I am able to put them back exactly where they were. All right. It's not terrible. It's not great. It's not terrible. Our stencil came out okay. That's fine. We already expected it to be a little off. So we're going to take this paintbrush. This is the smallest paintbrush I could find. And I'm going to use that purple iris, because remember we changed colors from the border to the middle. And I'm going to go over it by hand and see how clear we can make it. That is all we can do for right now until this dries. So far, this is what it looks like. All right, so we've put down our second stencil. We're going to be using the pink for this one. So after taking the stencil off, it's not terrible. It's not great again either, but it's not terrible. The rest of it we can edge up once we're done with a second and third coat of the pink. So I'm going to go through with my little paintbrush and we'll do that. Would you like to see it? No, not just yet. Where's the fun in that? Now that all of the pink part has a second and a few places third coat, we can go back with our grape taffy and we can fix up any little edges, any mistakes we made. That's why acrylic paint is beautiful. Now that we have our purple side done, we can start with the pink side. All right, so we are done clean cutting everything with that pale purple. And I even went around some of the border pieces that I had little issues with. Time for glitter. I'm using a slightly larger brush than I was earlier, just because this doesn't have to be quite as precise. And we're going to give it a good coat. I'm getting a little bit worried because what I did at the beginning is starting to dry and it's a little streaky. So hopefully by the time I'm done painting this end, we'll see how it actually looks, the glitter does. You're not supposed to be up here, Cassian. Cats. Okay, I think the reason I didn't like it before was because of user error. Um, I was actually brushing on the glitter and it was getting very streaky. So I went over all of it and just tapped the glitter on, and a nice amount of it too. All right, well, that technique worked out a lot better. I'm happy with it. I do think, though, that since we have glitter on this side, why not put glitter on the whole thing? And when I say you need the smallest amount of this, watch. Like, legit. That's it. We're going to give that a second to dry, and then we're going to glaze it with Mod Podge. Make sure that you don't use matte finish because that will take away everything that we just did with the shiny stuff. So everything is dry. We're going to go over it now with our gloss. We're going to use that Mod Podge. I always pour too much of this. Looks good. And now, the big reveal. I love it. This is a joke between my little brother and myself. We're both huge Limp Bizkit fans. And listen, either you are or you are not a fan of Limp Bizkit. There's no in between here. I love their album Significant Other. At a point in my life, it was like my favorite for a bit. So I love this, and I'm so happy to put this somewhere in my house. My wife has told me nowhere. It's going nowhere in the house, but we'll find some place for it. Thank you guys for following along with me. That was a fun journey. And I hope you had a good time. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope all good things are coming to you.